Hello. In today's session, I will be talking about how to land a job that will 2x your growth and fulfillment in 60 to 90 days. And I will teach you how to do it easily and effortlessly. So, who is this for? Who is meant to go through this? So, mid-level tech professionals who either feel stuck, maxed out on growth, or want a more fulfilling job. And who am I, you may wonder? My name is Elena Pastori. I am a leadership and career coach. Throughout my time as a coach, I have worked with so many people. I've facilitated transformational experiences for over 200 clients. I've written over 400 resumes, and I have enabled and empowered over 100 clients to live in their strengths. My education and credentials, a little bit about my background. I earned 2 degrees from the University of Florida, Go Gators, which is a top 5 public institution in the United States. I earned a Master of International Business there, as well as a Bachelor of Business Administration. Other than that, I have engaged in tons of other continuous education opportunities and gotten certifications. Currently, I am working towards my Associate Certified Coach certification with ICF, which is the International Coaching Federation and is the gold standard for coaches worldwide. I am also just wrapping up my Gallup Certified Strengths Coach certification, which I've been coaching on for probably, I don't know, I'd say almost 5 years. And I'm just now getting the certification for that. And I also currently have a couple of other certifications as a Master of Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which is NLP. And that's about how our thoughts, feelings, and emotions shape our actions and therefore shape our results, which is very important to understand when helping people in the realm of career. And the last one is I'm a master practitioner of MER, which stands for mental and emotional release. And this is a process through which we help people to eliminate any mental roadblocks, limiting beliefs, negative emotions that are holding them back from going after that job and really stepping into that next step in their professional career that they want to be in. So, as I said, Clifton Strengths is one of the tools that I use, and in conjunction with many other things that I do, I just wanted to highlight a couple of specific outcomes that just using your strengths alone will allow you to achieve if you work with me. So the first one is that those that use their strengths are 6 times more engaged, 6 times more likely to say that they do what they do best on a daily basis, and have reported a 3 times better quality of life just from using their strengths. So if you can imagine what the work we can do together will achieve, this is really just one tiny glimpse into what that looks like. 90,000 hours. You might be wondering, what does 90,000 hours represent? And 90,000 hours represents the approximation of how much time we spend at work over a lifetime. So this is about a third of our lives, 90,000 hours. And that's assuming that we live a pretty long life, right? And far too many people that I've met, that I've worked with, truly wake up every day and are not happy to be doing what they're doing. They wake up every day and they wish they were doing something else. They wish it was Friday, right? They wish it was 5 o'clock so that they could be done with work. And that is certainly not a way to live 33% of your life, to just wake up wishing for it to be over. We spend so much time at work. It should be a place where you are looking forward to going, where you want to make a difference. A job should be a way that you make the world a better place and you get paid to do it. So I want to make sure that your 90,000 hours is well spent and that you stop wasting time dreading your life away. So a few testimonials I have of people that have worked with me and leaned in towards that 90,000 hours of positivity and enjoyment in their careers. The first one is Eric. And before Eric came to me, he was in a position where he was underpaid in his role and he was working in a declining sector. And after we worked together, he actually earned a 66% salary increase after our 3 months together. And he had better job security, and the position is more aligned with his skills and the value that he's adding to the organization. The last one was Eleanor. And when she came to me, she was very discouraged because she had applied to over 100 jobs with little to no interview results. So she was barely even getting interviews. And after we worked together, she applied to her first 4 positions and received 2 interview invitations out of those 4 and received offers from both of them. So this should go to show how much strategy there is in this process and how much I really get to know my clients in order to be able to get them the results that they want to get. Each of these clients and all of my clients altogether come from very different backgrounds, desires, interests, and yet they're all able to get their exact desired outcome. Okay, so if you're wondering how you can make this happen for yourself too, and you're wondering what are these steps that these people took to get the results that they were able to get after working with me, there is a very simple 3-step formula. The first one is to figure out what you really want. What do you really want? Which may be a little bit more difficult than you might think. The second step is to eliminate mental roadblocks, which I briefly mentioned a little bit earlier. The third step is to redefine and execute. So once you get the first 2 knocked out, then you got to get to applying to your jobs, going on those interviews and everything like that. Okay, so diving into step 1, figuring out what you really want. This consists of identifying your current skills, your natural talents, all of your experience and expertise, and all of your areas of strength, and determining what you want to continue doing and how all of those things are going to play into your future role. So, sounds like it might be pretty simple. However, there's a lot of mistakes that I often see with this. The first mistake is focusing way too much on job history. So, when everyone comes to me, they're normally very, very focused on what did their last 5, 10, 15, even 20, even 30 sometimes years look like, and how did that get them to this point? And while it's important to know where we came from and what skills we used to get us to where we are now, focusing on your job history is not going to serve you in looking for your next job. I'll say that again. Focusing on your history and your past is not going to help you in getting your future job. You need to know how to articulate what you have to date to show as a value add and articulate that towards the future. So that's the biggest first mistake that people make, is they focus way too much on the past and on the history. We need to focus on the future. The second thing is applying when you're overqualified. So lots of people, especially if they're making any type of career change or a pivot, are applying to jobs that they are overqualified for because they fear that they can only get a job that they're overqualified for, or that they won't have a shot at a job that is at their level. A lot of times they feel like if they're switching sectors or pivoting, they have to take a demotion in order to successfully make the switch, and that they can't get the same salary and things like that. And the reason why this is a mistake is because you're basically devaluing yourself when you're doing that. Devaluing what you have to offer, devaluing the importance and the value in the diversity that you bring coming from a different sector, coming with a different perspective. There's so much value in that, rather than a candidate that's going to just take a linear path. So view your differences as an asset rather than as something that is a detriment to you. So even applying when you're overqualified, it might sound like you'll be a shoo-in and that you'll be a really good looking candidate, but oftentimes on behalf of the company, they're like, I don't want to pay for this person. They're going to cost me too much. So therefore, I'm not even going to give them an interview, even though they are overqualified and would maybe do a good job. So applying when you're overqualified, you might think that that's a good strategy and a good thing to do, but truly it's just going to hurt you. And the third mistake here is being dishonest with yourself. So many of you, I'm sure, have come to a point in your life where you've questioned, is this career path the one for me? Or maybe you've met a friend or a colleague who's in a different area, a different sector. They have a different job than you, and you think, that sounds interesting. But then before you can even give yourself the opportunity to look into it, you immediately start disqualifying yourself and saying, you know what, my job now really isn't that bad. I don't want to go through the effort to switch and become in that new position, even if I would like it better, right? You start to justify to yourself why you should stay in your current position, even if it's less than ideal. When you're dishonest with yourself, you're not doing yourself any favor, because you might think that you can talk yourself into staying in the position and being happy in it, when you really know deep down that it's time to move on, or maybe it just was never for you in the first place. Continuously doing this is just going to lead to more dissatisfaction, disengagement, and could potentially cause you to envy your boss, your peers, your work as a whole, because you really don't like it and it's not something that you want to be doing. So it becomes harder and harder to stay positive and stay engaged in that setting. Okay, now we just went over step 1, figuring out what you really want. And now we're going to go into step 2, which is eliminate mental roadblocks. So for this step, we want to talk about eliminating limiting beliefs, which are false beliefs that are learned by us over time that prevent us from doing things. They're not true. They're lies. The next thing are negative emotions. So whether that's fear, you're afraid to apply to a new job because you're afraid you're going to get rejected, or you're afraid what your spouse or your family is going to think of you if you go into a different field. Guilt, you might feel guilty if you have to take a pay cut and you can't support your family in the same manner that you have been. Sadness, anger, hurt, ashamed, right? These are all negative emotions that can influence our actions to do or to not do something in our careers that we want to do. And the last is parts conflicts, which is a part of me wants to do this and a part of me wants to do that. So you might say a part of me wants to go after this job and a part of me doesn't. Part of me wants to be a people leader and a part of me wants to be an individual contributor. So we as humans aren't meant to exist in parts. We're not meant to be split. We are meant to operate in wholes, right? We shouldn't have these parts that are tearing us apart. So that's another just result of a mental roadblock where there's a lack of alignment. So that's another thing that needs to be explored. And so digging into this a little bit deeper, you can see this diagram here that was taken from SUNY. And limiting beliefs and things like that are first formed when you start by having an emotional experience. That could be anything. It doesn't have to be extremely emotional, it doesn't have to be significant. It could be a really small thing. And again, these things kind of add up over time. So maybe it's one rejection from an internship when you were in high school, or maybe the first job you ever applied to in high school, or college, an internship, again, a part-time job, applying for an extracurricular activity, right? Possibly getting rejected from any of these things where each of them, when you look at them as individuals, are pretty insignificant, but over time, when we collectively add these on top of each other, we tend to make interpretations, generalizations, and draw conclusions about them. So we might say, oh, I've been getting rejected from jobs my whole life. Maybe it's because they think I'm stupid. Maybe it's because I didn't go to an Ivy League. Maybe it's because I'm not articulate with my words and they think that I'm incompetent. Right. And over time, we tell ourselves a story in this narrative because we want to know. As humans, we want to know things. We don't want things to be left ambiguous or to be just left up to the unknown. We want to draw reasons for things. And so this is a process that we unconsciously do to give ourselves a reason for a specific outcome. So when that continues over time, and again, you're not aware of these things happening because they're throughout your whole life, then you draw a limiting belief. I can't get a new job because they think I'm not smart. I'm not going to get a job at Amazon because I didn't go to an Ivy League, right? Those are just a couple of examples that you may or may not believe, but people out there do. And when those limiting beliefs are formed, and we all have them, so it's just a matter of if you're aware of it or not, but everyone has limiting beliefs of some sort. It causes you to be skewed in your thinking. then it caused you to say, you know what, I can't apply for a job at Amazon. I'm not going to apply to a job at Amazon. I'm not good enough. I didn't go to this Ivy League, right? I don't have these other things that they're going to want. And so they don't want me. I'm not good enough in their eyes. We kind of decide that ahead of time before we even give ourselves a chance. So that's where that skewed thinking comes in. And then that choice to not apply, that choice to say, you know what, I'll apply to this company instead, right? Is out of fear of not being accepted, not being chosen for an interview. And then again, those fear-based choices lead to those fear-based actions of where or not you apply to, which then just evokes, more emotional experiences and more experiences that can just keep fueling this limiting belief and keep fueling the skewed thinking. And the more that you fuel it, the more that you buy into that false story, the harder it is to get out. However, there is a way out. And that is what I work with you on, to determine what are these limiting beliefs in the very core that's causing them, so that together we can knock it out so that you can fully feel confident and clear when you're applying to Amazon or whatever company that is, and feel like you are good enough and that you do deserve it. Okay. So some mistakes. Number one is using your willpower to take action. And that might look like saying, you know what, screw my emotions. I might feel like I'm not good enough to get this promotion or to go for this job. I'm just going to push through it. Think about New Year's resolutions. Willpower only works for so long before it doesn't, because willpower means there's a lack of alignment. If you're using willpower, it means that it just doesn't come naturally to you because you're not fully aligned in your mind with your emotions and your goals. And that's why New Year's resolutions fail, because people try to just rely on willpower. So relying on willpower, sure, it might allow you to have some short-term progress, short-term results, but in the long term, it's not something that can be leaned on for true success, which is why we really need to eliminate those limiting beliefs, negative emotions, rather than just sticking with willpower. It's so much easier when you just eliminate those things rather than trying to push through them. The second thing here is trying to take the emotions out of it. So in work and career, a lot of times we try to just rely on logic and being objective about things and saying, leave your personal life at home, leave your family thoughts and, emotional things in your personal life that happen to you at home. Don't bring them to work. Although it's not like just flipping a switch, right? We can't just turn that part of us off, because we're still the same person at the end of the day. You can't just forget about those things. Sure, you might forget about them for an hour or two, but trying to just take the emotional piece out of the process altogether, again, just simply won't work, because it's just a part of who we are, how we process, and how we make decisions. So just saying, well, I'm not going to get sad, I'm not going to be upset, or saying, well, I'm just going to take a logical approach here, again, might work temporarily, short term, but will still not yield you long-term results to feel confident and knowing what you're doing permanently. And the third one is trying to form new habits to create new beliefs. I hear a lot of things on the internet, on social media, of people saying forming new habits will change your life. I do agree that forming new habits can change your life. However, will forming new habits create new beliefs about yourself, create new beliefs about what you think you're capable of, feeling that you don't have to apply to a job you're overqualified for, having the confidence to ask for a raise, having the confidence to switch careers? Sure, you can do things that will help you to be courageous and gain more confidence, but it's only going to move the needle a little bit. It's not going to make a permanent, long-lasting change the way that it would if you were to just tackle the root cause, which is eliminating those limiting beliefs and negative emotions altogether, rather than treating the symptom, which is trying to build that confidence through forming new habits. Again, it will help, but it won't totally eliminate the problem. It's just going to help a little bit. Okay. So we just went over figuring out what you really want, step one. Step two, eliminate your mental roadblocks, excuse me. And then step three, redefine and execute. So once you know what you really want to do, and then you have eliminated anything that could possibly be holding you back, now you're ready to go full steam ahead, execute, get your resume updated, apply to those jobs, interview, negotiate, and again, have that full clarity and confidence to easily and effortlessly land that job with the offer you want that has absolutely everything that you desire. So I just mentioned resume, LinkedIn, cover letter. These are just getting your brand documents together, making sure that they're all in alignment and that they're all updated. So again, regardless of what it is that you're going after, you need to make it future oriented. You need to demonstrate how your resume and your LinkedIn and your cover letter are sales pitches for you in that future job. So if your resume is not serving as a sales pitch, then that recruiter, that hiring manager will not see how you are the most qualified and the best candidate for the position. So you have to be absolutely great with, again, using your strengths and other skills and talent areas to uniquely stand out. Excuse me. What can you say that no one else can say about themselves? What's going to make them stop and look at your profile and say, this person really has something different to bring to the table, and I don't want to pass up on this person. So that's why this piece is critically important, because this is the first step in the job search process. If you can't nail these things, then you won't even have a seat at the table for that interview. So this is very, very important to get aligned. And the first thing that people usually miss out on, and I see so many people missing out on this, is omitting the ATS. So the ATS is the applicant tracking system, and it's the software that scans and reads your resume when you apply to jobs online. I've had so many clients that have come to me and they showed me their resume and they'll say, hey, I'm applying to this job and here's my resume. They'll show me the job, they'll show me their resume. And I'm like, you're totally qualified for this job. You have everything that they want and your resume looks good. But they'll say, I haven't been getting any interviews. And it's usually because of the resume not doing a good job at showing their qualifications. So not that they're not qualified, but their resume just doesn't do a good job at that. So I had one client named Kelsey, and she was in this boat. And then after we worked together, she was able to get her foot in the door with those interviews and ultimately land a job for marketing, which is the area that she is in. The next thing, focusing too much on me. We always want to tell recruiters, hey, I'm good at this, and I want to do this, and I'm looking for a workplace with this. That's great. And they really don't care. They want to know how you can better them, how you can better their company, and how you match what they're looking for. Not that they don't care about you as a person, but again, your resume has to be a sales pitch, meaning it has to be reader oriented, not writer oriented. You are the writer and the recruiter is the reader. It has to be geared towards them, not towards you, or they're not going to see the connection. They're not going to understand why and how you're the best candidate if you're not writing it to them and towards what they're looking for. I rarely see people whose resumes are reader focused. It's very rare when I see that. Okay, and the third mistake is staying too past or present oriented. And this is related to what I talked about in the beginning, which is if you're trying to go after whatever that job is, even if it's a similar job on the same path you're currently on, even if you're not changing careers, you still have to reflect how your current skill set and experience will allow you to get to that next level and upskill, right? If you stay too focused on what I'm doing here and now and today and what I did in the last 5 years, they're not going to be able to see how you can excel moving forward. So you need to be very articulate about how what you've done today will serve them in the future and will serve them moving forward, and how you can leverage your existing skill sets, expertise, and strengths in order to achieve the goals and metrics and whatever those things are in that future job. So you really have to be good, again, at connecting those dots for that person that's going to be examining your resume. So why does all this matter? All of these things that I talked about. So if you choose to work with me, you will get career coaching, leadership coaching, strengths coaching, mindset coaching, all in one. So this isn't just a let's get a job. This is let's help you get a job, and let's help you get a job that's at the next level above, the next leadership level, whether you are managing a team or not, or just achieving the next level vertically, or while we're also focusing on your strengths, what you're good at, and allowing you to have the language to share that, again, to be very compelling when you get in that interview. And then again, having that clear mindset using the NLP and MER techniques so that you don't get that sense of fear or guilt or sense of not being good enough or stuckness, so that you can fully step into it being equipped with all of the tools that you need and knowing what to do with the tools. Because it's one thing to have the tools, it's another thing to know what to do with them and then to use them well in order to get the outcome you want. So it's really this beautiful combination of these 4 types of coaching that I offer to help you get the absolute best outcome you can imagine for yourself. So we're talking salary, job type, industry, company, commission, benefits, hybrid, work environment, right? Everything and anything that you want in a career, this is focused on that, not just salary, not just location, not just job type. That concludes everything for today. If you haven't booked a call already, please do so. The link will be below this. And I'd love to connect with any more questions on my email, my LinkedIn. Feel free to visit my website, and I look forward to meeting and chatting with you more.